Hello, this is George Demaree, and we're here for another program for Money Matters. And remember what we do at Money Matters. One is we try to help people with financial literacy. Two, we share opportunities, whether it be an employment opportunity or business opportunities. Three, we try to help people with creative thinking and to think strategically about making financial decisions. Four, we help people with credit worthiness. And finally, and we're going to spend a lot of time on this on weeks to come, on how to get away from what we call financial slavery, and that's debt, and the reasons that we're in debt. But today I have a special guest, friend of mine, fraternity brother. I think the world of him. His name is Raymond Smith, and Raymond Smith is Vice President of Park Community Credit Union. He's Vice President of Community Development. So Raymond, welcome.
Thank you, George. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure being here with you.
Well, let me start with a story. I was talking to my son George, who is a manager for Enterprise Rental Car. And he mentioned to me that you can no longer rent a car with a prepaid card. And I said, well, that puts people in an uncomfortable position. He said, well, Dad, it's not only good for Enterprise, it's also good for the consumer. Said because prepaid cards charge as much as 15%. So now if you don't have good credit or you can't get a credit card, now it's even difficult to rent a car. And let me tell you a statistic from a McKinsey report that I saw right prior to our program, that as much as 47% of African Americans are not banked. And there was a number of reasons for that. 50% of those don't believe they have enough money. So let's talk a little bit about Park Community. What do people need to have in order to start a bank account or an account with your credit union?
Well, again, let me say thank you for allowing me to be here. It's all about, I think, relationships. People don't trust because people don't believe in. And there are many reasons for that. And one of the things that I would say is about Park. Park is a billion-dollar company. We are a credit union. So because of that, a credit union works a little different than a bank. They both are able to do the same things as far as products and services, although we do it a little better. And the thing is that our board are volunteers. We're a not-for-profit, so the profits that a credit union makes goes back into its products, its services for the members. And to be a member of a credit union, of Park Community Credit Union, is $5. And the $5 goes into a savings account for you. And if you ever decide you want to leave Park, you get the $5 back as well. So it's a matter of then once you become a member of Park, then you have the ability to be able to be a part of all the different programs that are out there. So it is about trust, and it's believing and trusting in someone that's going to do the right thing for the right reason.
It's funny that you just used the word trust. We talked about trust in our last staff meeting, and we felt, and I feel, that the most important thing that I could give someone or someone give back to me is trust.
Right.
Because trust lasts a lifetime. Dollars eventually you'll spend. So tell me how you garner trust at Park Community. What are some of the things you do to help people to get over that hurdle?
Yeah, I believe and I love that when it comes to trust, because you earn trust. Trust isn't given, you earn trust. And so the difference in earning trust and what I believe in and what we do at Park, it's not just doing business. You can do business with anybody, but it's about developing a relationship. And a relationship is quid pro quo. So it's getting to know the member and the member getting to know us. And I say to people all the time, come in and just meet some of the Park staff. Introduce yourself. Let them know who you are, because we want to know who you are and we want to be involved in the community. So what is the difference and what do we look to do? We look to put people in the right product. It's not about profit, it's about people. But when you take care of the people, you become profitable later. So we're about taking care of the people. One of the easiest ways to get yourself in trouble at Park as a staff member is putting somebody in the wrong product, giving them something they don't need. So one of the things that differentiates us and the other financial institutions, we're looking to do the right thing for the right reason. And when you do that, things turn out all right.
Well, that doesn't do anything but make sense to me. And you mentioned product.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons, according to this report, that people are unbanked is because many times the product doesn't match what they're trying to do.
That's correct.
So Park has a number of products that have helped the community over years. So kind of share with us some of the new things that are going on with Park right now.
Here's one of the things that I love to say, and I always enjoy sharing this, and I'm on panels and committees and presentations and being able to do this sometime. But one of the things that is really happening right now, particularly in our communities, are that our businesses, many of them, have had to close or don't have the individuals coming in that gives them the revenue, so they don't have the reserve right now. They can't go back and go, I've had this reserve because we've been able to have X number of months where we've had real net profits. Because they've been closed. So many of them are needing startup capital again. They're needing things for inventory. They're needing things for equipment again. So one of the things that Park has in place is what we call a micro commercial loan. A micro commercial loan allows that individual to be able to borrow monies for inventory, for equipment. And they're able to borrow up to $10,000 on that loan because, again, it's helping them to get reestablished. We set that up over a 3-year period of time. It's an interest rate of 3.99%. But now watch this, George. We also want to teach the importance of borrowing and paying back as agreed. So when you pay that loan back as agreed, we actually refund you 100% of your interest, which is an interest-free loan. And that's unheard of. But that, again, people say, well, how are you making money on that? We're not. We're losing money on that product. But as I said a minute ago, when you take care of the people, you become profitable later. And it's about people helping people, not profit. And so with Park, we want to be able to help individuals gain access to opportunities, but also access to capital. And without having access to capital, you can't do a whole lot. And so we want to make sure that we're doing that. So that's one of the products that has been very popular right now because so many of the small businesses certainly need that. We've got a product right now from home ownership because we talk about home ownership, right?
Let's talk about home ownership.
Yeah, well, the home ownership is the beginning, the creation, the start of wealth, right? And so we hear that all the time, but I was on a call last week and there were individuals that said, yeah, Raymond, but if you're going to tell me that somebody's got to have a 680, 700 credit score, all the other things don't really matter because of the obstacles and the hurdles they've had to go through. And I said, you're exactly right. I said, we've got a product that will assist you, that we will lend you 100% of, and in this case, this one product is up to $100,000, right? So we'll lend up to $100,000 for you to purchase at home. We will assist you with $2,000 of your closing costs. We would do 100% of the financing with no PMI, and you can have a credit score of 585.
Wow.
Which is unheard of, right? So we do that. So we also heard in the West End that some of the properties need some renovation. So what we said was, okay, we'll do that. We listen. That's one of the things about Park I really appreciate is that we listen to what the members have to say. We listen to the community and what the needs are. And many of the communities came to us and said, buying the house is fine, but we need money to be able to fix them up because they haven't been taken care of, the condition that some of them are in. We said, okay. So what we decided to do is that we're going to lend you 125% of the value of the property. We'll do the $100,000 to purchase, the other 20 to be able to refurbish, to renovate, to fix up the house to be in the condition that you want it to be in. Again, 100% financing, no PMI. $2,000 of the closing costs, credit score of 585. That is something for the homeowner. We also listened, and somebody said, well, what about duplexes? We'd like to be able to get some rental income coming in. We said, all right, we listened to that, had different meetings with that, had some community meetings, listened to what individuals said. So we came up with a duplex mortgage loan where individuals on this are able to borrow up to $125,000 to be able to rent one side of it for additional income coming in and to live in the other side.
Wow.
Again, 100% financing that we do on that. That one has a credit score of 620 on it. But again, no PMI, 100%. We assist with $2,000 of the closing costs. So I know that we hear many times, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. But here's what I will say, test us and see. Try us and see, because the one thing that we want to do is help the individuals gain access to the capital. You said something a minute ago that is so important, and that is that I tell people all the time, we don't always say, we don't say no. Sometimes we have to say not now. But if you follow steps 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, or whatever your situation is, because we put it on the plan, we just don't tell you, sorry, we can't help you, and you go out the door. We walk through what the challenges are on being able to get the credit today. And once you complete what we say that you have to go through, after you complete that, then we put the deal together for you.
Well, one of the things that I'm hearing about you in particular and about the Park community is that you've targeted areas that a number of banks have left.
Yeah.
From 2014 up until today, branches in economically challenged areas are leaving. What is it about Park, and what do you see? How do you see the opportunities here that other people don't see?
Well, here's what we say, and I say this all the time. In a lot of the communities that we serve, a lot of financial institutions are running out, and we running in, because we want to be able to assist. As you're well aware, in the California neighborhood, we have an ITM in the Family Life Center of St. Stephen's to be able to meet the needs of those in the California neighborhood. Before the pandemic, we used to set up over here every week to take applications and open accounts and meet face-to-face with people, do loan closings right in St. Stephen's. In Russell, Molo Village, we're actually building a new branch to be in the Russell neighborhood. Wow. Right? So again, it's taking care of the people, being able to service. We have a low-income designation as a credit union, and we want to live up to who we say that we really are. We want to be able to help the people. We want to give that access to the opportunity, access to the capital. And so we're just trying to walk what we talk and practice what we preach.
So, okay, let's again talk about mortgages. What kind of percent of down payment does a person need to get a mortgage? Okay. And what, I know typically there's a debt to income ratio that folks need to have. Kind of share with us some of those as it relates to Park Community.
Right, and so we have the full gamut, everything from the first step mortgage that I talked about for that first time home buyer, and the first step of they trying to become a mortgage holder and owning their own property. On that one, as I said to you a minute ago, it's 100% financing with no PMI. Some of our other products, we do everything from the smallest of that 100,000 to the jumbo loans. And you're exactly right. You like to be able to see your debt to income, your debt ratio, what you have coming in versus what you have going out, to be somewhere between that 30, 35%, even up to 40 on some of the deals. Because what that allows you to do is to make sure that you can take care of your bills and to be able to do the other things that you need to do in life, right? So you've got fixed expenses. You also have flexible expenses. And one of the things that we do on a regular basis is assist with that. As a part of our financial education, we look at that. I will look at, and there's a sheet that we use that we have fixed expenses, flexible expenses. So what is yours today? Your debt to income ratio may be 60%, all right? But what we look to do is what can we do to help reduce that down to 40, down to 30. And one of the things that we see a lot of times is that individuals are able to pay, but it goes back to things that they have open lines of credit cards. So you got 5 credit cards. I got $5,000 limit on each credit card. Well, I got $25,000 worth of debt that I can incur at any time. Even though you may say, well, I only use one of them and it's $1,000, but I have the ability of drawing up to that $25,000. So I've got to calculate that dollar figure into what an expense may be. So many times what we do is help individuals restructure debt. They may be in a high yielding loan term. They may be paying an absorbent amount of interest on the loan that they have. What we will look to do is restructure, refinance so that we can get them down more into the market rate. So there are ways in which we will look to get your debt to income in line. Again, that's one of those things that we look to do when we do the financial education piece so that we can put you in a position to borrow the money.
Let's, good stuff. Let's talk about a story. I remember a number of months ago, you told a story about a guy who needed it, didn't know they're going to have it. You walked him through it, borrowed the money, paid it back, and put him in a position to be successful. So you have tons of great stories. Why don't you share one of them with the audience?
Well, I'm very blessed. As I've told you before, I'm not in this position because of me. I've told you a long time ago that God blesses us to be a blessing to someone else. And part of my daily prayer is that the Lord allow me to be an instrument to be used by Him to help someone along life's way. And my living shall not be in vain if I can help somebody. So I say that to say that, I love the ability. It's a joy. It's a privilege. It's a pleasure when you get a chance to see individuals be able to attain something that they think they couldn't. And so what you're referencing is, as a young man that I just love to death, that came in, that started with the microloan. So we had the microloan, we talked about it, what it needed to be. And one of the things that I admired about him was he said this to me. He said, you know what, Raymond? I want to perform on this, not just for me, but the opportunity you given me, I want to make sure somebody behind me gets the same opportunity. Mm. He said, so I want to make sure that I perform on this as agreed so that this program doesn't stop. And so anyway, he got the microloan, started with the microloan, did what he said he was going to do, paid it back as agreed, continued to grow his business. That gave him the money to get the business started. The next one he came in for, he needed a line of credit because the work he was doing, you get paid sometimes when you're a contractor, you get paid in arrears. So you get paid upon completion of work. So they don't give you money to go buy the supplies and buy the materials and to pay your labor. You get paid after it's complete. And so in working with him and talking with him, again, he did what he said. We gave him another opportunity, and we gave him what we call a guidance line of credit, where he was able to have monies he could draw upon. There was guidance. We would talk about what he was drawing, what he needed it for, how it was going to be handled. He performed on that as agreed. Came back a little later, and we were able to actually give him a revolving line of credit, which should look like, a temperature or the stock market. You're able to draw up on it, pay down upon it, draw up and pay down. Right now, he has become a tier 1 supplier for the city of Louisville, and he uses the line of credit the way in which it should be done. And one of the things that I appreciate about him is he stays in constant communication with me on what he's doing. He'll give me a call just to say, hey, how things going? What's going on? And I say that, the reason why I say that, because that's important, George, is that I tell people all the time, get to know your banker, get to know your credit union person before you need anything, right? How do I do that? Go into the branch and say, I like to say the manager. When the manager comes out, they're thinking there may be a problem. How can I help you? Be able to go up to them and just simply say, hi, I'm Raymond. Your name is George. George, just want to meet you. I'm one of your new customers. I just don't need anything from you. I just want to be able to say hello to you today and thank you for what you are providing for the community. I'm telling you, every time you come into the branch after that, that manager is going to say, hey, George, hey, George. And then when you come in to borrow, to need something, there is a relationship that's already established. And relationships have their privileges.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Because in previous shows, we've talked about the importance of developing a relationship with your financial providers. There's a book that I read, a sales book, from a guy by the name of George Demaree. And it started out by saying this, that people do business with people that they like. And then I really couldn't wait to see what the next statement was going to say. Because if 50% of people do business they like, what do the other 50% do? And Jeffrey said, with people that they like. So, trust me, it goes a long way. We can go into a bank, a financial institution that first of all welcomes you to come in the door, and then secondly, you feel comfortable with building a relationship with. Let's talk a little bit about what we can do to get people away from predatory lenders?
Yeah.
How can, is there something that we can do, that you can do, that your bank can do to convince people to get away from those kinds of folks?
Yeah, unfortunately, the predatory lending, it's almost like a drug. So people, they make it easy. They make people feel comfortable when you're coming in to borrow. Some of the lending institutions that do that, and not explaining to you that what you're paying is 430 to 450% interest on that, which means when you get involved and get into that, it's hard to get out of it. Right? That's why I call it, it's like an addiction. You can't really get out of it, because now they've got you. You know, you're borrowing $300, $400, $500, and you're paying 430% interest on that. One of the things that we have seen, and we recognize it as a challenge, is that we've looked to combat that by what we call QCash. So when we develop a relationship with you and you come on board with Park, once you put Park for a 6-month period of time, you don't even have to come in. You can be on your mobile phone and do 6 clicks and pay that loan off and get a normal loan with Park Community Credit Union to pay that off. Because again, it is destroying too many individuals and communities. They make it easy, but they don't tell you the ramifications. And again, too many people get strung out on that. One of the things that I say all the time, and the reason why we're able to do this, why we're talking about things like this, again, we hear the problem, we see the problem, and we look to find a cure, if you will, a product that will assist that. But it's important to know that leadership starts at the top. A person can want to do individually all they want to and can do for somebody, but if it doesn't go up the hierarchy, and if it doesn't flow down from the top, it's not going to happen. And one of the things I'm very thankful to say about Park Community Credit Union is a lot of what you hear me talk about, the different things that we're doing, starts at the top. The mortgage product that I talked about, before anybody is given a turn down, it first has to be reviewed by the president and CEO and the executive vice president of our company before anybody's told no on that first step mortgage that I'm saying. And I say all that to say is that we constantly look and listen to what are some of the needs that are out there. Many times with financial institutions, it's what silo do I fit in? Where do I fit in? Where can you put me? Well, they put, there are boxes that people fit in. We don't know there's a box. What is it you need? And we look for ways to put something together to help you with that need.
It's so important. And we've talked about it many, many times, and we will continue to talk about it, of home ownership.
Yeah.
And not only from a financial perspective, but from not only from a wealth building perspective, but from a pride building perspective. Yeah. That when you own something, it's just different. It's, if I could use this as an example, my oldest son, Chris, I had a couple of cars. This is when he was in college. And he said, well, Dad, can I take your car back to school? He played college football. He was doing well. And I said, for the weekend. Well, I never got that car back. Okay. And he's a great man, and he really is. I'm so blessed to have great children. And but when I saw the car the next time, it didn't look the way that I gave it to him. It just didn't. But when he went out and bought his car, all right, and he spent his money to buy a car, you could eat off the floor, all right? Yeah. So just to use that as example, when people have ownership, what it does to them, for their family, for them in being able to build wealth. Does Park, let's say a person comes in, this person does not have all of the criteria they need, or it's not all set up in a way for them to really purchase a home. Tell me, do you have a system set up to get a person to where they are in over a length of time to help them to be a homeowner?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I said earlier that everybody's situation is different. We all have dreams and we all have desires, right? And so in going back to this piece of the American dream, if you will, creation of wealth, but just having something that belongs to you, that you own. When people come in, we sit down and we look at where they are today. It's interesting, though, that some people today are ready even when they don't know they're ready. But if you don't have the relationship to sit down and talk with somebody, you make a whole lot of speculations about what position I'm really in. And that's why I encourage people, come down, let us take a look at where you are. The other part that goes with that is what you just said is that, okay, I want to be a homeowner. And we've had people that come in to do that. I'm not ready today, but I want to be a homeowner. And they sit down, share the information. We put together a plan for them so that one day they are owning the home. But I do love the piece of a regress here a little bit, where the person that came in and didn't think they were ready today and said, well, I just want to position myself to down the road. And I said, well, quite frankly, you're ready right now on this particular product. And they were very surprised and shocked. So that's why I say go in and have the relationship where you can sit down, and going back to what you said of being able to go from steps 1 through whatever it needs to be to put you in a position to become the homeowner. You're never too young, never too old to do it. We have some individuals I work with where their parents saying, I don't want my son to rent. We're going to assist them with getting their first home or buying, because many times you're paying as much in rent as you would for a mortgage, right? And so we share that to people on a regular basis. So we've had the youngest of individuals that are buying, but one of the things that touched my heart so much is that when we were able to assist I won't say elderly, but a couple that had some gray hairs in the head that had never purchased a home, but said it was always their dream as a family to buy a home. And the day that they were able to sign the documents and the day they were able to cut the ribbon was some shouting time, right? Because they never thought they'd be in a position, and now they're homeowners and can have family there and do what they want to do there because it belongs to them.
It's one of the things, again, that we do at St. Stephen Baptist Church, and this is just a part of the big picture of what we do here, is we want to give people beliefs. We want to change how people think, that you cannot achieve accomplishments unless you truly believe that you can achieve them.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that I've had Raymond Smith here for the third time. Because I believe, and there's some other great financial institutions. This is not me compromising other folks, but this is what I know about him, that his heart is in the right place. And that if you have not been a homeowner, or if you're looking for capital for business, give him a call. And if it can be done, he will get it done. So we're pretty getting close to the end of our program. So how would you like to address our audience before we walk out of here?
Well, let me say, it's a blessed privilege to be on here again. I mean, I really appreciate the opportunities. In the times I've been on here, there have been some viewers that have given me a call, and I love this. They said, well, now we heard you, so we're going to see now. And that's a great, call me. Let's set up an appointment. Let's set up a time where we can sit down and look at your position today and where you want to be. And as I say to people all the time, there's nothing too minute, nothing too great that we can't sit down and look at to try to put something together with. So I appreciate it. It's a blessed privilege and it's a blessed opportunity to be on here. And I look forward to the viewers, the listeners, being able to pick up the phone and call and being able to set a time and an appointment, regardless of where you think you are today. Let's look to see what your aspiration and dreams are and allow us at Park to be able to help you get there.
Thank you. Well, let me tell you again, I appreciate Mr. Smith, Raymond Smith, taking his time to be a part of our program today. But before we leave, I just want to share with you some of the things that we're going to be going over in the future. There's a program, there's a system called D-Free. And D-Free was set up by a minister at the First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens in Somerset, New Jersey. And what he did is, as the minister there, he understood that he wanted to get people to give more, the tithe. But he wasn't the kind of minister that wanted to beat them over the head with it. But then he noticed when he looked in his parking lot that there were a lot of luxury cars in his parking lot. But the majority of the people are in debt. How can you become debt-free? So he came up with a system of helping people to get debt-free. And again, the system is called D-Free. And what he realized is that folks who were in debt had to change habits. It's like any addiction.
Yeah.
Until you realize you need help, you won't go for help. So I'm going to share with you principles that he had to help you to get out of debt. I shared with you a number of weeks ago that one of the happiest days of my life is when I paid off that last credit card. And I'm going to help you to do the same. So that's our program today.
Can I say one thing on that?
Please.
Real quick.
Please.
And, we did this where a church was an associate and what we did during offering.
Right.
Put together a program, just what you're talking about. And when people came up and dropped tithe and offering, I had devised a program for them that they also could drop their credit card in there. We'd actually cut up the credit card, put them on a plan, and reward them later for what they've done. So I love what you're saying right there. And there was it was so wonderful that the first lady that put her card into the offering to be cut up became a homeowner 6 months later.
That's what I'm talking about. It's about, he calls it financial slavery. Do not be a slave. He talked about a family whose husband was well employed, so was the wife, but they use credit cards all the time, and then he loses his job and realized what hole he got himself into. But they came up with a system, they got him out of debt, and it's an amazing thing. When people get out of debt, it's easier for them to pay 10% to the church.
Amen. Amen.
Have a good day, have a good week, and look forward to see you next week. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.